Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Now, today I'm looking at a book we've reviewed before. This is a very important book because of what is happening to British society at the moment and the issues within our communities. This is a book, the title of which is The Court of Protection Practice 2015. Now, it's been written, the general editor is District Judge Gordon Ashton OBE, and it has a team of contributors, and District Judge Ashton has done a superb job to put together something that is difficult. It has to be handled with sensitivity. The rules are a bit complex, and I think he's tried to make it as easy as possible. One or two of us have probably had quite a lot of experience of dealing with the Court of Protection. There are specialist practitioners in that court who seem to know an awful lot about it, and then more like people like myself who come from a much wider practicing jurisdiction, who come across this as one of many areas of practice. So it's not something we just do only as one particular specialism. So I think this particular book, this practice book, has a general relevance for the specialist practitioner in Court of Protection work, but actually a much more valuable piece of advice in terms of practice for the general practitioner, both barrister and solicitor. Now, my wife Elizabeth and I have talked about this book because obviously there are some changes which I'm going to highlight. We've given it a title with our review. The book's come from Jordan's Publishing, and the title of our review is Court of Protection Practitioners. Note the radically and extensively updated edition of this definitive work for 2015 with a free supplement and an accompanying CD-ROM. Now I'm going to show you, actually read the review itself in a minute. But what I'm going to do first of all is show you the two books that have come. This is the main work, which is the Court of Protection Practice itself. It's a heavy book. There's the spine, shows you the names of some of the people involved in it, and there's nothing on the back. What you do have is some shaded areas so you can find things quite quickly, and there are also some very nice dividers here so you can find things, and it's quite easy to find things pretty quickly. What you've got to go with this are these updated practice rules. This is the Court of Protection Practice, Court of Protection Rules 2007, incorporating the Court of Protection Amendment Rules 2015. Now, they came into force after the main book was published, so I'm afraid you've got a supplement. That's what it looks like. It's relatively straightforward. There's the front of it there, and then you've got the setup of the arrangement of the rules themselves, which I think is, again, they've done the best they can, Jordans. They do apologise in the letter they've sent out that they've had to do that separately, but that's unfortunately what has happened. Now, this is the book itself, the practice book. It's a very substantial book. It runs to 2,600 pages rather. There is the CD at the back, and then the inside cover you've got fixed costs. Always useful to see because of the costs of going to this particular court. Very up-to-date information there. Now on the front cover you've got some calendars. Let me start at the front this time rather than the back. And what you've got here are this is the actual main front page there, just to show what it looks like. Then we get into people who are the contributors. Now there are a large number of people involved in this, and so I'm just going to show you the names there. You can see that Gordon Ashton he's now retired, but he is the general editor and contributor, and there are a lot of people linked with him who have helped. Then Sir James Munby, who is well known to all of us as President of the Court of Protection, apart from anything else, has got a most useful foreword. And then Mark Potter, President of the Family Division from December 2008, going back a bit, that's the foreword to the first edition, which is when this book first came in, and you see how much change there has been since this book came in. There's a preface to the first edition there, again going all the way back, and then there's an introduction talking about the legislation. That's the Mental Capacity Act and so forth. Human rights are mentioned. Then you've got table of statutes. Then in addition to that, a lot of case law there. Then I'm not going to go through the huge amount of content. There is a specialist table of practice directions, which again I think is helpful, and that actually deals with the page number of the actual practice book itself. You've also got international concepts there as well for the international regulations. Then you've got a useful list of abbreviations, again very helpful. Might be worth putting a post-it note on that if you've got problems with some of the abbreviations. I certainly do from time to time, trying to remember them all. Narrative there for part 1, and then the structure of the actual practice book itself. Going through, you see the chapters, and there's a lot of detail. Now going through the book itself, you can see just looking at it, you've got the Court of Protection rules mentioned, you've got quite a lot of Acts of Parliament and so forth, but the body copy of the book, you've got paragraph numbering at the sides to be expected from Jordan's, and you've got footnotes. So you should be able to find things pretty quickly. There obviously is a lot of detail about the procedure rules. There are, again, when you go into it, there are forms. This is actually an appellant's notice, for instance, there. Lots of forms, lots of detail. That's why you need the CD to go with it. Then you've got at the back other countries, other jurisdictions covered. So there should be virtually everything you might need to know about. And then right at the back, there's again a detailed index. The index at the back and the contents by chapter at the front are very useful. This is a detailed index and extremely helpful. Then you've got things like organisations at the back. Again, very helpful. We mentioned a little bit of that in passing in our review. So that is the actual practice book, and then those are the rules, which I shall just link in on the side, and hopefully they won't fall over. Now, this is what we say about the book. I think this is a very important book because the nature of the Court of Protection has changed. I've certainly seen a lot of changes since the cases I did some years ago now, where the court basically was in its infancy, and we just did not have the large number of cases that are now coming to the attention of this court, and there are lots of reasons for that. Let me explain what we think of the book, though, and why the practitioner will find this so helpful. Before I do anything else, I want to thank all the people involved very much for this, because without having this sort of book, it just makes our lives so much more difficult. So thank you for easing the burden a bit. And of course, it's the book we will see in the courts when we attend. This is what we say: with an ageing population and instances of dementia increasing, together with other illnesses that impair cognitive ability, public awareness of the existence of the Court of Protection has certainly increased in recent years. Its remit and its functions are extensive and manifold, as evidenced by the latest edition of the Court of Protection Practice, which has been recently launched by Jordan's. Now, I'm recording this in June 2015, and as I say, the rules came out shortly after the main book was published. Now, the President of the Court of Protection, Sir James Munby, notes in the foreword that this is an essential volume for those who work in or appear before the court, and indeed essential for every judge or practitioner in the Court of Protection. How right he is, and thank you to Jordan's for taking on the mantle of producing it. If any aspect of your professional work places you in any of the above categories, you'll need to refer to a wealth of new material contained in this book. Obviously, it has been thoroughly overhauled again. It comes with the free supplement on the rules, as I've said, and there is the CD, which is provided by Jordan's. And it's the supplement which contains the most up-to-date material of the lot, because just after the main volume went to press, the amendments to the Court of Protection Rules 2007 came in and been incorporated in their entirety into the supplement. So that actually will, I think, make your lives a lot easier if it's the rules you need to have a look at. As the publishers have explained, the Court of Protection Amendment Rules 2015 amended the 2007 rules with effect from the 6th of April 2015, and certain rules from the 1st of July 2015. As I say, I'm recording this just before the 1st of July, but by the time people see this, we'll have the everything should be in. That's for the remainder, and it's subject to transitional provisions, of course. So the amendments and the dates of commencement are clearly indicated. Now, because of its currency and importance, the supplement should receive special attention, certainly with respect to the revocations and the overriding objective, which stresses that the court must be enabled to deal with a case justly, ensuring, for example, that it's dealt with expeditiously and fairly, that the parties are on an equal footing. Possibly some rumblings of Magna Carta there, I don't know. Anyway, within this surprisingly compact volume, which is just under 3,000 pages, there's much else that's new for 2015. Too diverse, of course, to mention in this short review, but suffice to say all the narrative chapters in Part 1 and the procedural guides in Part 2 have been comprehensively updated, with all the relevant updated legislation included in Parts 3 and 4. Among the important updates we'd like to draw to your attention are the latest deprivation of liberty, that's Doll's forms, contained in Part 7. These will appear online as fillable PDFs, which can be saved and reprinted, and which will also allow changes and corrections of error. And that's quite helpful because, as you know, sometimes when you're dealing with these forms, they can be a bit difficult when it comes to trying to upload them, trying to alter them and do various things. So at least you've got that information available, and the CD does help once you've mastered setting it up and running it and everything else. New precedent orders, of course, are including those pertaining to Doll's matters, and they're found in Part 8. And Part 9 contains the latest case law summarised under topic headings. And Part 10 you'll find the full range of updated international questionnaires. They're right at the back. Again, I haven't stressed that too much. Let me just conclude by saying that the book provides extensive research resources and directories, including tables of statutes, SIs, cases, PDs, codes of practice, plus the table of EC and international regulations. Without a doubt, this is the complete and definitive work of reference on the Court of Protection. It's the only one I've seen that actually covers everything that you need, hence what Munby has said right at the beginning. And in a bit of an understatement, one must say that this book is a monumental achievement and certainly a credit to General Editor Ashton and his team of 8 expert contributors. Thank you to all of them. We can't do our work, as I said, without them. Let's just have a quick look. There are the rules again, the supplement right at the back. It's not particularly long. It only runs to 90 odd pages. In fact, yeah, about 100 actually. You can see the way it's set out there, and it's quite useful to, at a glance, to have a look at. And then just the book again, there we go, just have a look at it. Shaded area is very helpful because you can find very quickly what you might be looking for. That's Part 10, is a very substantial area. Case summaries, which I found interesting, are there. You see how they are set out. They're relatively short, but they go straight to the issues. So if you've got a particular case and you need a particular order, you should be able to find something which will give you a common law authority. And again, you think, for instance, here we've got the MCA, the margins of the MCA. Excuse me, MCA itself, vulnerable adults, paragraph 11.3. And then, of course, you've got a lot of information in the footnotes. But it's basically everything that the judge will need to know about. And you do need, if you're involved on a regular basis, you need to know your way around this book without any doubt. There are, of course, other books like the excellent Legal Action Group handbook, which goes with the Court of Protection work. But this is the definitive work, which I think you'll see that and the on the lag book in the courts. As I say, I would very much like to thank all the people involved in this, because this is an important, and alas, it's a growing area. It's one that we're going to have to look at again, I'm sure, in the years to come. And as I say, Gordon Ashton and his team have done what I think is a really first-class job for us. So thank you very much to all concerned. Bye-bye.